Brothers and sisters, once again, this is Shabar, Judah Ben Israel, on the behalf of S.F.I.A Foundation Israelite Academy. Real short video. I wanted to do this because I want to show you how we get Purim. Purim is coming up, a holy festival, and blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, being the true Jews that the Bible speaks of, you should keep this day as a commemoration of your nation of people, because Purim was actually a day when the Jews supposedly to have been slaughtered. It was a day of carnage and massacre. February 13th was that day during Esther's time. When you read about Esther in the book of Esther, during the Medo-Persian Empire, there was this Amalekite, a descendant of King Agag, which was an Edomite, so-called white man today, his name being Haman. In the book of Esther, he plotted to kill the Jews. Why? Because you had Esther's cousin, Mordecai. Mordecai was Esther's cousin that raised her up as well, because Esther's parents was put to death by Babylonians. So Esther, her cousin, raised her up. Mordecai, her cousin. Mordecai was a Jew from the tribe of Benjamin. So Mordecai was a Jew from the tribe of Benjamin, and Esther was also a Jew. Her Hebrew name was Hadassah. Her Medo-Persian captivity name was Esther. And Mordecai raised Esther up, and eventually you had King Ahasuerus, which they call King Xerxes. He was the king of Medo-Persian Empire, and you had Shushan, which is the capital of the Medo-Persian Empire. You had the Jews captives as slaves. And you know, if you know the story about King Ahasuerus, or they may say King Xerxes, what he did was he held a 6-month celebration, which lasted like for 180 days, to celebrate his position in power. And during that 6-month celebration, you had a lot of drinking going on. You know, the officials, they was drinking, drinking from the vessels of gold, and then King Xerxes, or some may say King Ahasuerus, his wife being his wife being the queen, which was Vashti, she also made a feast for the woman of the royal house, which belonged to the king of Ahasuerus, which was King Xerxes as well. Now, I know when you read about the Medo-Persian king being Ahasuerus, some may say, why they call him Ahasuerus, and some may say, why they call him King Xerxes. Well, if you want to call him King Xerxes, that was his Medo-Persian name. But if you want to call him King Ahasuerus, that's what the Hebrews called him. And he had a wife by the name of Queen Vashti, which during that particular time, if you read Esther chapter 1, it came upon a time, according to Esther 1 and 12, that actually Esther 1 and 11, that he wanted his queen, King Ahasuerus, or King Xerxes, wanted his queen, his wife Vashti, he wanted her brought out because he wanted to show off her beauty, for she was fair to look upon, and she refused it. She refused the king's order. So eventually the king had 7 officials of Medo-Persian Empire. He had 7 officials that held the highest office in the kingdom. And he had these officials to, deal with that issue, because his wife wouldn't come to publicize herself. So eventually he got rid of his wife, Vashti, and he replaced his wife because he sought out the virgins, to be candidates on who would be the next queen in the place of his wife Vashti. Esther, which was an orphan, she was an orphan, so she went from being an orphan to the queen. And she found favor in the king's favor. She found favor in King Ahasuerus, or some may say King Xerxes. She found his favor. and she became the queen, but she kept her nationality. Esther did not tell the king her nationality. She being a Jew, she kept that from the king because it was told by Mordecai not to reveal her nationality. So eventually, after the king of Persia made her queen, she did not know that she was a Jew until, many months later. You had the king's, another one of the king's officials, Haman. Haman was the top official of the Persian Empire that was belonging to the king, and one of his top officials, Haman, which was the son of Hammedatha, I believe. Haman was a descendant of King Agag, which you can matter well say he was a Amalekite, he was an Edomite. So Haman was, you're going to find out, was an enemy of the Jews, and everybody highly esteemed and respected Haman. But if you read in Esther, the 3rd chapter, you will read that for the king had commanded Mordecai to bow down to him. Mordecai was a Jew. He would not bow down to Haman because of that historical beef between the Israelites and the Amalekites. He would not bow down to Haman because Mordecai was a Jew and Haman was an Edomite. And he did not bow down to him. And Haman ended up becoming enraged, and he ended up seeking after to kill all the Jews, man, because Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him. And Haman saw that Mordecai wouldn't bow down to him, and he was full of wrath. So Haman sought to destroy all the Jews throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, which was King Xerxes as well, and even the people of Mordecai. So you had, dealing with Esther chapter 3 verse 7, it says, in the 1st month, that is the month of Nisan, which is March. This is how you say Nisan in Babylonian, March. That was during the 12th year when Ahasuerus, or some may say Xerxes, was reigning as king. They cast lots, man. This is Esther 2 and 7. They cast lots. Esther 3 and 7. They cast lots, which was per. That's how you say lot. And I believe in Hebrew, you say lot as per. If you want to say lots, plural is Purim. So happy lots, or happy lots, because they cast lots. Haman, this man that wanted to destroy the Jews, he cast lots, and the lots fell on February 13th. You can look at that in Esther 3 and 7. Says from month to month he cast lots. Said in the 12th month, what is the 12th month? The 12th month is February. That's the last month of the year. If you didn't know that. So the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, which is Esther 3 and 7. It tells you then the 12th month, which is February, Adar. That's how you say February in the Babylonian tongue. February 13th is when those lots fell that Haman cast to slaughter all these Jews. You see that? So Mordecai became intimidated, man, became very afraid. And, he told, Mordecai tells this particular guy by the name of, this guy's name was, what was his name? This guy's name was, Hathach, Hathach. You can look at this in Esther chapter 4. Mordecai, when Mordecai learned all that had been done, he tore his clothes in anguish. He dressed in sackcloth and he began to weep, man. He covered his head in ashes. He began to weep after he found out, that, Haman was going to have this plan. He cast lots to destroy the Jews. And those lots fell on February 13th. And that's why from February 13th to the 15th is what you call Purim, because that day that was supposedly been a day of sorrow and grief turned out to be a day of rejoicing and mirth, man. So that's why we celebrate Purim, because that day really supposed to have been a day of grief, but it turned out to be a day of happiness, because the Most High Yahweh Shai worked in our favor by using Esther, which was the king's queen to, during that second banquet, Esther came out and told that King Xerxes, or King Ahasuerus, that there was a man that was, plotting to kill her people. Because they didn't know that Esther was a Jew. King Xerxes or Ahasuerus didn't know that Esther was a Jew. Neither did the top official Haman know that Esther was the Jew. So Esther eventually came out and told the king that, look, man, there was this wicked man Haman trying to kill her people. And guess what the king did? He became furious at Haman and had Haman killed. So that was all according to the Most High. We supposed to keep Purim annually, man, every year. If you don't believe me, you can go to the 9th chapter. That's the 9th chapter of Esther. And you could just begin with, let's say, 16th verse. It says, but the other Jews that were in the king's province gathered themselves together and stood for their lives, and had the rest of their enemies, and slew their foes, 75,000. So it was 75,000 people they killed according to Esther chapter 9 verse 16. But they laid not their hands on the prey. So they didn't take the spoils, as you could say. They killed 75,000 people, but they didn't loot them, And they killed, like I said before that, if you look in Esther 9 and Esther 9:11, they killed 500 people, and if you look in Esther 9:15, they killed 300 people. So altogether, they killed like 75,000 people pursuing the Esther 9 and let's say 17, Esther 9 and 17, or Esther 9 and 16. And 17, Esther 9 and 17 reads, on the 13th day of the month of Adar, which is February 13th, on the 14th day, February 14th, on the same rested, they had made it a day of feasting and gladness. So primarily February 14th, even though some Hebrews might keep Purim from February 13th all the way to the 15th. Esther 9 and 18, but the Jews that was at Shushan, which is the capital of Persia, assembled together on the 13th day thereof, because they slaughtered man on the 13th day. They slaughtered 500 man. Let's say the Jews on the 13th day of February, they slaughtered 500 man, and then on the 14th day they slaughtered 300 man, and then on the 15th day they rested, pursuing to Esther 9 and 18. On the 15th day of the same day they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. See that? So on the 15th day they made it a holy day, since they had slaughtered their enemies on the 13th and 14th days, and they stopped on the 15th day. And this is why the Jews live, these Jews that live in these small communities and these wherever they may be living at. This is why on the 14th day of the month of February, which is Adar, that became a joyous, a holy day at the time of feasting and giving gifts for food to one another, because that day supposed to have been a terrible day for the Jews, because that's when the lots fell. So that's they call it Purim, lots, if that made sense to you. So yeah, man, you can look it up for yourself. So if you look at Esther 9 and 21, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day in the month of Adar, which is February 14th, and the 15th day of the same, yearly. So this is done annually. Okay? You can go down to the 20th verse of Esther 9. And the 20th verse of Esther 9 says that, and Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both 9:4. It says, and then verse 21, like I said, that we should keep the 14th and the 15th day yearly. Let's see. Now you skip over to verse 28 out of Esther chapter 9. It says, and these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim shall not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. So this is to be kept forever, man. And that was Esther 9:28, to show you that Purim should not fail. Because Purim, February 13th, was a bad day for the Jews, but that day turned into happiness and joy. Because Yahweh worked in Mordecai's favor, worked in Queen Esther's favor, and Queen Esther was able to, flip that thing around and tell the king that this guy that was planning on killing them was his top official, Haman. And the king had him killed. The same man that plotted to kill Mordecai, Esther's cousin that raised her up. And then, you know what? He put Mordecai in the position of Haman. You see how that worked? So the Most High make your enemies your footstool, man. So that's basically what Purim is. So before I close out, I'm going to show you when Purim actually falls this year. Now, if you see, we went into what you see right here. We went into moonconnection.com. Now, this was last year, February 2017. I mean, not February 2017. Last year, November 2017. It was last year, as you can see, 2017. Now, we're going to start with last year because the lead up to supposedly 2018. So, as you can see, this was actually October, according to the new moon. November 2017 right here was actually October. November came in right here. You see that? This is when November came in. A new month, a new moon. So October actually, according to the new moon, the 18th is when November actually came in. You skip to the December of 2017. December is when, December 18th supposedly, is when December came in, because this was November still. This was November, as you know. And even though it say December 2017, it was actually November. So December came in right here, which was the 18th. This is when a new month. This is when actually November was over and December came in. And from 2018, this is when actually January came in, which was a new moon. See that? And February 18th, this is going to be actually when February comes in. See that? So February 2018, February 2018 is actually January until 15th. When 15th, that's when February come in according to the new moon. And on 15th of February, that's actually when February come in. That'll be February 1st. So when it's around, you have to count from 1st being a new moon, new month, which is February 1st right here. You have to count for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So February 13th, Tuesday night. See that? Because this going to be actually February 1st, according to the new moon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? This 12. And Monday night will make Tuesday, which would be the 13th. See that? And Tuesday night would make Wednesday, which would be the 14th. See, so actually, the primary date for Purim is February 14th. And you can look at this in Esther 9 and 21. Esther 9 and 21. Esther 9 and 21. Let's go to 9 and 21. Show you right quick. Esther 9 and 21. It says, to establish this among them that they should keep the 14th day of Adar, that's February 13th. February 14th, according to the new moon. And the 15th day. So the February 14th and 15th day is what you should keep as Purim. And this would be actually, this month that they call February is not actually February already. It's still January. February will kick in on the 15th. See that? So this will be February 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and Tuesday night will make 14. So this is when we keep it. And then Wednesday night will make the 15th. So you can keep Purim anytime from Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Whatever day you want to choose to keep it, which would technically be February 27th, 28th, or March the 1st. You can keep Purim. Once again, you can keep Purim through February 27th, 28th, or March the 1st, because that'll be 13, 14, and 15. So, you know, that's Happy Purim, man. That's coming up. And eventually after that, we have the Passover. So I hope I was a help to you guys to next lesson. Hope you was edified. Share this knowledge and this truth. Shalom.